In my 31 years of life, I have heard a lot of crazy things, but a brownie that supposedly tastes like the real thing, is low in calories, and is made with cheese, may be one of the craziest. This cheese brownie is made by Kenny Fisher, and his claims of it tasting like a real high-calorie brownie will be put to the test. If you know me, you know that I'll be making two batches, one that's casein only, and one that is a whey casein blend, so I can let you know, the viewer, if it's even worth making if you only have a whey casein blend. Let's get into it. Two batches of anabolic brownies done. On my left, we have the whey casein blend, and on my right, we have the casein. As far as the actual process of making it, it was very simple. 2 bowls, a couple spoons, a spatula, and you make a little bit of a mess with some of the powder and maybe when you're sifting everything. But besides that, very simple process. For the casein only recipe, I didn't even need to oil my fingers to press everything down. I added the 50 grams of milk. I did milk instead of almond milk, but I put that in there without even like thinking about it. I put 50 grams in because there was so much dry powder still, and I knew it needed a lot of moisture. Mixed everything together until there was no dry parts, put it in here. Super simple. As far as this one goes, I didn't add any milk whatsoever, and it was super sticky, and I did have to use my fingers and oil to actually get the recipe to come together. I will say though, both are just as easy to make. The whey casein blend was just a little bit more messy, but there is a big difference, and I see what Kenny's saying, at least before the actual taste test, between the whey casein and the casein only. You can see how much more dense and fudgy looking that the casein only blend is, while when you look at the whey casein blend, you can see it's more like cakey, and that's what he says. The inside reminds me more of a chocolate cake than a brownie. However, it's not completely cakey. So with the whey casein blend, since there is casein in it, you're still gonna get some fudge-like parts, but it's not gonna be as fudgy. But the taste test is gonna determine whether or not these are actually worth making with the whey casein. If it's still 9 out of 10 as good as the casein only, and the casein only is very good, then I would say you could still use whey casein, but we should see here in a second. As far as the macros on this thing goes, I know that in his video, I think there were 123 calories. However, I used regular milk, and I also used light butter, which tastes so much more like regular butter, like pretty much exactly like regular butter. And the I can't believe it's not butter really doesn't. So for me, the extra 45 calories was worth it. And my chocolate chips aren't sugar-free. His were. That's an extra like 10 calories per serving, so that added another like 40 calories. So my brownies ended up being 153 calories, 12 protein, 18.5 carb, 5.2 fat, which isn't bad at all, especially because his 123 calories is 10 grams of protein, while this one's 12. So really, at the end of the day, if you count the protein in, it's only an extra like 22 calories, something like that. So really not bad. And if this tastes like an actual brownie, 153 calories for 12 protein is amazing. Without further ado, let's get this taste test going. The first one, casein only blend, MyProtein. Let's see, super fudgy looking. Chocolate chips still melty on the top, even though it's been like an hour and a half. And this is a non-flavored casein because I want to make like waffles, pancakes, all that stuff, and I don't want the vanilla to be in there already. I want to add it myself. So I did add a couple extra grams of my cocoa powder to make up for it. And I do wish that these were a little more sweet. Also, my oven might have been hotter, but I do wish that I made this 2 or 3 less minutes because it tastes a little bit dry, but I think more than anything, that's bake time. I've had a few different protein brownies, and for the calories, these are good. I don't think they're great. I don't think they're exactly like a real brownie, like he claims. However, I would definitely eat these as a dessert, especially if I can take some time and make a couple more batches, see what works for me and my sweetness level that I want. I think these could raise up a whole another point. But for now, I'm gonna give them like a 6.8 out of 10. Again, a little dry. I wish they were a little more sweet. You know, this isn't good news for the whey casein if this is gonna be more dry, because I did the same amount of time and same everything for this besides the whey casein powder. But this is with the Gorilla Mode milk chocolate, so it already has the chocolate flavoring. So I did the exact amount of cocoa powder that I was supposed to use. And if you wanna support the channel, code E4CM, because I go through all this protein and everything to do all these test recipes recipes and also these reviews. But besides that fact, the milk chocolate Gorilla Mode tastes pretty good on its own. So let's see how it tastes with a brownie. Another thing I just realized that can make a big difference is the size of your tray. This one is a little bit wider, so these are a little bit thinner. This one is a little bit thicker of a brownie because the actual tray is smaller. So with the same cook time, this is more moist. This is better than the casein only. No cap. I think it's really because nothing was different besides the fact that this already had milk chocolate protein flavoring in it, which I would rather put my own chocolate flavoring in it, but these were thicker. So they weren't able to get as dry as these ones were since these were thinner. I do still wish that these were more sweet, but this is more like 7.4, 7.5 out of 10. And Kenny, feel free to say, you know, you should have done this, you should have done that. If I did something wrong, point it out. But I pretty much did everything to a T besides like I didn't have chocolate casein on hand. So I just substituted a couple more grams of cocoa powder. And I used the Dutch cocoa powder, so it's even higher quality cocoa powder, which also could mean that I need more sweetness because that's a little bit more bitter. I think that if I get the cooking times down, if I did this for 20 minutes, I think that these ones, the casein only, would have been better than the Whey casein. But regardless, I think that you can make this recipe either way. If you have a Whey casein blend, specifically the Gorilla Mode, because this has more casein than the PEScience. And I also think if you have a casein blend, you should just cook it for less time. Like everyone says, you can undercook stuff and then put it back in the oven to cook it more if you don't like the consistency. But when you overcook it, you can't take the cooking away. So go on the lower end range of the temperature and try these out yourself. Let me know what you think. If you want to see the full recipe to make these brownies, definitely check out Kenny Fish's channel. He puts work in to make his recipes. And if you want to see a 25 calorie cookie where I do the same thing, make it a few different ways and let you know if it's worth making, check this video out here. And until next time, deuces.